My name's Marsha Warfield, and no, I am not dead yet. I see y'all's TikToks.
Hey everybody, how you doing? My name is Brad Sanders.
Ready. Ha ha, very funny motherfucker. And now, ladies and gentlemen,
Hey, and welcome to This Comedy Life, the podcast about comedians chopping it up, kicking the game around. We all have one thing in common. We love to make people laugh, and we're here to give some joy and laughter. So let's get into it with our two special guests. Oh, I love these women so much I can't even get out my mouth. That ain't what she said. Myra J.
Hello. That would be me.
Yeah, and the inimitable, the wonderful Marsha Warfield.
Thank you so much. Myra's inimitable and wonderful too. Now,
You was always wonderful, and them can't nobody imitate you, baby.
There
and
you go.
Show can't duplicate you, and you know that.
Well, I ain't in that part of the 5 stages of show business. I ain't in that part yet. Oh, I'm past that part. I'm back to
what's the 5?
Marsha Warfield.
What's the 5? Oh, okay, right.
Marsha Warfield.
Give me who's Marsha Warfield?
Get me Marsha
Warfield. Get me somebody like
Marsha Warfield. Give me a young Marsha Warfield. Who's Marsha Warfield?
Right. Okay.
And then where's Marsha Warfield?
Well, that reminds me of what Tom Jordan said. She said, you ain't shit in show business and stuff until people think you're dead.
Right.
That's one of my opening lines. My name's Marsha Warfield, and no, I am not dead yet.
Okay.
I see y'all's TikToks.
Yeah, I hear you. But look, Marsha, I know something about how you started.
Yeah.
Because I saw you the first time you was ever on stage.
You was there.
Now, tell me, what made you finally get up on stage and start doing stand-up?
Tom Dreesen's layout in the Parade magazine. In the Sun-Times, they was talking about how this young comedian just broke up with his partner, and now he needed a place to work out. So he had borrowed the concept of the Improv and the then new Comedy Store, and decided to have his own Monday night open mic show at the Pickle Barrel on the north side. And so I told my friend Evelyn Ivory, I said, I'm going to go down there and do that because I was, as I usually was, in between jobs because I hate working. And, and so I said, I'm going to go down there, but I never went. So then Evelyn came to my house. Hey, Tom. Evelyn came to my house and said, put your clothes on, let's go. So I put my clothes on and went, and about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, I finally went on. And Brad was probably one of 6 people in the audience besides the 3 guys sweeping up. But I got laughs, and so I was hooked. The sky opened up, the sun shone down, angels started singing, ah, and I had been called.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you one thing. Everybody in that room, all 6 of us, actually all 9 of us, the 6 comics plus the 3 sweepers, we stopped and said, who is this lady?
Nice.
Who is this lady right here? Because you couldn't label her no kind of way. You couldn't say she was a first timer. And Tom, Tom, he got the gift of gab. And ladies and gentlemen, this young lady, this is the first time on stage, and she's going to come up here and, show her some love. I mean, she's all the way from the south side of Chicago. You know how bad it is over there. So, she probably needs an outlet. So please welcome her to the stage.
That's right. He was a virgin. That's what he called it.
That's what he called it. Boy, that
was my first line. My name is Marsha Warfield, and I'm a virgin. So please be kind.
And she rocked the joint. She rocked the joint. Beautiful. So Myra.
Yes.
How did you start? Now both of you ladies were writers to begin with. I mean, Marsha, I think, was published in Reader's Digest. And you, Myra, got dapped at school because you were always writing stories. And you get to the office and whatever. So
Yeah. That story was in elementary school because I was always writing short stories and passing around. And I think when I was eighth grade, I had written this story about, remember Batman and Robin,
Yeah.
the show where that corny pile zap would come up on the screen. I had written a thing about Batman and Robin came to the hood, and the people in the hood was more powerful than Batman and Robin. It was something crazy, but they were passing it around. And I remember the teacher's name was Mr. Georgopoulos. Was like, what is that? And he took it from somebody and he read it and he was like, who wrote this? And they were all pointing, Myra wrote it. He was like, come with me to the principal's office, and you know how you see your life flash before you. I was like, my mama gonna kill me. And he told the principal, he said, we need to do this as a play. So we did it, and I was so excited that something like that happened. But anyway, fast forward, because nobody was really encouraging young Black girls then to go into writing or comedy. And I'm a grown woman working at the unemployment office in Pomona, California. And one of the guys took me to the comedy store. I had never been to a comedy show. And it was on a Saturday night. And just like I said, it was like 12 white boys up there. But by the end of the night, he was like, and they were great. And I made the comment. I said, well, I think some of them was funny, but I'm as funny as some of them guys. And he was like, no, because these are professionals. And then I was like, I don't give a dang. I think I'm as funny as half them guys up there. And he said, well, this was a Saturday. He said, every Monday night is open mic. I didn't even know what open mic meant. He said, anybody can get on stage. Mm-hmm. I wrote some stuff down. 2 nights later, I went on stage. And as Marsha said, and the sky opened up and the birds sang and da-da-da. And I remember calling my mother from the payphone somewhere outside the comedy store down there on Sunset saying, Mom, I want to be a comedian. This is what I really want to do. And my mom was like, okay, somebody needs to go out there and get the baby. He said, Myra want to tell knock-knock jokes. That's what she told her friend. She want to tell knock-knock jokes, y'all, about to quit her good government job.
Oh, my God. But that's a wonder.
That's what she said.
Right. When I first went into comedy, my mother said, well, you know, maybe you'll find you a job. Mom, this is my job. And then she gave me a subscription to the Daily Words.
Right.
In Los Angeles, California. Now, Marsha, when you were writing and your story got published in Reader's Digest, what was that like?
I have no idea. I remember I was very young, and at that time, we moved a lot. I like to say we were blockbusters. We moved into changing neighborhoods and over the summer, and it'd be 60, 40, 70, 30 white, 30% Black. And by the time school started, it'd be 90% Black. And so every year, it was like my mother said, okay, there's too many Black people. We're going to thanks to white people. Now, she never said that, but that was the feeling I had at the time. We just kept moving into these different white neighborhoods, and they kept gerrymandering the school district. At that time, remember that we had afternoon and morning classes. We had winter and summer classes. So kids started at all different times, and it was all different kind of things. And then they started, like I said, redlining, gerrymandering the school districts to meet the quotas that was coming up. So all I know is that at this one school, there was a Gwendolyn Brooks composition poetry competition. Mm-hmm. And the teacher submitted mine.
Oh.
And it got selected and printed in the Reader's Digest.
All right.
I tell you.
But I was like, okay.
You weren't old enough to realize that was huge.
Yeah, I had no idea.
I knew that.
They didn't give me nothing.
Reader's Digest, and I didn't read your story in there, but I had never heard or read nobody Black in there. So you did that thing. And so let me share with you, Myra, how Marsha got to LA. Marsha bamboozled her family into getting her a plane ticket to LA for her birthday. Mm-hmm. And never went back.
That's right.
Smart.
Look, I had threatened my mother. I had told her I was going to California. Mm-hmm. And at that time, remember, we were still hitchhiking.
Yeah.
Everybody was hitchhiking.
Right.
And then you could also sign up to drive somebody's car.
Yeah.
Or hitch a ride with somebody driving a car. And I said, it's ways to get to California. I am going to California. He said, you can't go out there by yourself. And so I was so resolved to do it. She said, okay, I'll give you a trip to California for your birthday. And you'll have a round trip ticket. And if it don't work out, you can always come home. I said, okay. Booked me at the Continental Hyatt House. I got there on a Friday. I went to the Comedy Store that night.
Wow.
I met Spoon. I met whatever. Anyway, the next day or the Monday, I cashed in that ticket because back then you could cash in the cash value of your ticket. I cashed in that ticket and I got a job at the answering service in Beverly Hills. Then I sold my leather coat. And then after the 2 weeks was up, I got a room at Howard's Weekly on Hollywood Narvar. And I paid $49 a week.
That's a what?
Huh?
A what? That's a what? What a dump.
Yeah. Oh, and then ended up, that was the place behind there that Jimmy Wigg renovated into a comedy
hostel.
But right.
Yeah.
But it was a whorehouse, the place he had rented, because he was like, why are there sinks in every room?
Yeah, why indeed? Now, Jimmy Wigg was a comedian from Chicago. He used to work at the place, now Pickle Barrel was on Thursday night. Lake Pub was on Monday. And
okay, you might be right.
Well, look, that's the only thing I remember. Let me have it. Jimmy, he was one of these suburban white guys. I even spent the night at his house one time. And you go to his house, he had the camouflage suit, he had the gun on the wall. And I said, okay, this is some real white shit right here. Let me just act nice and get on back to the South.
Mayonnaise on the table.
And one piece, yeah. Yeah. So he did refurbish this area because you were living on Yucca for a while, which is the street north of Hollywood Boulevard. Is that right?
I lived a lot of places on Hollywood, in Hollywood, all the way up and down from Hollywood Boulevard to Sunset, and I had a bunch of different apartments. After I ran out of money, I never considered going home. I was not going home. I was hungry. I didn't have no money. I would walk to the Comedy Store and back home until one night about 3:00 in the morning, this dude standing in the doorway, said, "You working?" I said, "No." He said, "Then what the hell are you doing out here at 3:00 in the morning?"
Yeah,
said, you got a point. And I walked my ass on home. But
wait, back in and I actually came to LA in the 70s, but I was nowhere even thinking about doing stand-up. And my family, my husband, my brother-in-law, the baby, we were all living with my brother, who was living with somebody else in Hollywood. And I did not know about the quote-unquote massage parlors. And I remember walking up and down Santa Monica Boulevard thinking, it is so free and liberal out here because the women just stand up in the doorway and they grind panties. I was so fascinated. They had on just bra panties.
Okay, I believe that part, but I don't believe you didn't know they was hoes.
I was so just in awe of everything in LA because I'm still like, they got grass in the ghetto. I was just like fascinated with Los Angeles and palm trees. And I was like, and they just stand in the doorway and ask people if they want massages. Isn't that something?
Just out of the goodness of their heart.
Just because that's how it is here.
When I got kicked out of the hotel, I ended up staying at Levi Taylor's apartment. He said, "I'm getting married and I'll be giving this apartment up. So you can take it over and I'll just be here for another couple of weeks. Well, a couple of weeks, and now that it went on until finally I said, you got to go.
You put him out of his own place.
Myra,
His own
she
place.
put him out of his own place and let me move in.
He had a twin bed, mattress and box spring. So he took the box spring and gave me the mattress. And we're in a 1-bedroom little bungalow apartment kind of thing. No room, no nothing. And we lived like that for about a month. And then I was like, no, you got to go. And so he did.
That's one of them joints Elaine Boozler used to call a combination kitchen toilet.
Okay.
And it had a Murphy bed.
Yep.
Come out the wall. It had those apartments were originally made for the starlets who came out to work, the studios in the area.
Well, it was across the street from the Hollywood Cemetery.
From the cemetery, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the first place I ever heard of, because Harris Pete used to use the limousine that they took the comics down to La Jolla, and Missy gave it to him, and he started giving graveyard tours. That's the first time I ever heard of that.
I think he started that.
I was wondering, if he started.
I think he started that, and because they were doing bus tours, but I don't know that they were going through the cemetery. They were going, it was just a stop along the way or something.
Right.
But he said he was going to take people through the cemetery and show them celebrity graves.
And that is a thing right now. You had Mae West, Rudolph Valentino, all of them.
Yeah, you would think if you see it now, that was a strange place to put a cemetery. But at the time, with the Roosevelt Hotel and all that area, it was much swankier. But now it looks like it's a weird place to put it.
Yeah. You remember that guy used to live next door? He was a grave digger over there.
He was a cremator.
He was a grave digger and a cremaker. Because he told me, I say, hey, what's happening, man? I say, everything good in Hollywood. Looking good like you should in Hollywood. And he'd go in and he stayed drunk all the time.
All the time. He came home every night with 2 6-packs.
Yeah, toe up. And he said,
but let's go back to Chicago, because Brad was in a comedy team, Bohannon and Sanders. And we were working any place we could work. Look at that. There he is.
Yeah.
So we was working anywhere we could work. And one of the places we could work was the 3Gs on 113th. What was it? 13th and Halsted or something.
Wow. It was 103rd.
Orlando Ray's ran the show. And some of the times, like we all went to the North Side with no compunction. The white comics were coming to the South Side for the first time. Most of them, Tom was cool, Bill was cool, most of them were cool. Kelly Monteith came and sat there like he was being held hostage and never, ever got color in his face.
Just white as this hat.
This one night, and this is what really made me see the power of stand-up. Brad and Daryl had this bit about up the creek without a paddle, and it was a game show where you were supposed to lose.
Yeah.
And so
I'll get the game and still get all the questions wrong.
They wanted an audience, somebody to participate. Well, it wasn't but 4 people in the place. 2 of them seated down front, these 2 guys who looked like the Black Blues Brothers undercover as the Godfather or something. Anyway, and 4 people in bus uniforms at the bar. So they said, we need a volunteer, and ain't nobody said nothing. And the 2 dudes up front, they like, so finally, Brad talks this man into getting up and coming up on stage, which of course was just a platform in front of the window next to the jukebox. But that's not the point. The point he finally got the man to get up. And as the man got up, he reached into his leather coat and pulled out a howitzer. The pistol was huge, and gave it to his friend before he went on stage. And I said, man, these people just disarmed a person in the audience because they did not want to bring that threat to that environment. And I was so impressed with the power of that moment that it was one of the things that shaped how I approached the stage with that kind of confidence. And then later, not much later, Orlando got shot in the face with a rifle in front of the club.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're in a place where you can get shot in front of the club.
Yeah.
And these two have disarmed the audience.
Well, see, we
Amazing power.
by the time you saw that, we had worked some joints. I mean, some joints. High Chaparral, you name it. The burning spear. Oh yeah, all kind of joints.
I remember in Los Angeles, they used to do comedy. I think it's a Marriott down there on Century, right by the airport. Anyway, one night a week that they would have comedy night. And so I'm on stage, I'm doing my little act, and this white guy in the audience, and he's had a few. And I think, you know how you see that one person out of the corner of your eye, but you're in the middle of your routine and you don't want to stop. And he comes and he's coming up the side. And I'm like, in my mind, where is security? And he comes all the way up to the stage and stops right at my face and says, "You look just like Sly and the Family Stone." And I said, "Do you see a whole band up here?" Like how you argue with it? I was like the whole freaking band.
Then all the black people he had a reference.
Well, I figured out he was probably referring to Sister Rose because I had the little afro, but that ain't what he said. But in the meantime, just like I'm in my mind, like, do I take the damn mic stand and whoop his ass, or what is getting ready to happen here? Because I'm like, where the frick is security that y'all let this man who's drunk get all the way up in my face on the freaking stage?
Yeah.
I'm so impressed that you thought it was going to be some security. Apparently, this was very early in your career.
It was apparently.
Oh
It
my God.
was.
Yeah. So I thought that passed my mind, but I was too busy listening. I didn't want to miss nothing.
No, I couldn't let that go.
Well, how has being a comedian impacted your family life at any given time?
Oh God.
Go ahead.
For me, being a single mom, it had challenges, first of all, because I had to come home, do homework, mop the floor, blah, blah, blah. Fortunately, I had a village of girlfriends, and they would watch my son while I would run down to the club. And my whole thing was, I just want to come on here and tell jokes. I ain't trying to hook up. I ain't got time to hang out because I'm smelling like pine sol and shit. And I just want to tell my little jokes and go home. And I remember one night my son just looked at me and he said, "Why can't you just be like a regular mom?" Like what? Wow. Yeah, but people said to me, "You need to send him back to Chicago so you can really get out here and do the darn thing." And as much as I love stand-up, my number one priority was I was a mom first, and I wouldn't do it. And yeah, so I never did that. I've been on the road for 3 months thing just because I was a single mom.
Yeah.
Well, I was a comedy mom. I was a comedian mom. I was the one that when 4 or 5 comics, when we finally got $1.50, they brought it to me. And I was supposed to feed everybody.
Yeah.
And I did.
Nice.
I would fry up, I guess, okay, we got $1.50, whatever, go get 10 pounds of potatoes. Because you could get 10 pounds of potatoes for like 99 cents then.
Mm-hmm.
And a stick of margarine or something, and a bag of onions and come on pack. And I fed potatoes. We hamburger helper and mixed vegetables and a sleeve of crackers. If we had dinner. So I was mothering comedians from that little raggedy ass apartment.
You made me think of the time, because see what we used to do. Because see, I was a doorman at the Comedy Store for a while. And I used to work the lights sometimes. Matter of fact, I broke Harris Pete in as a doorman. I said, okay, here's the gig. You see this velvet rope? You take this hook and put that in that hole. And when somebody comes in, you take it out. Put them in. When they get seated, you put it back. But back to what I was thinking about, when the light came on, we would go through the room looking for money that might have been dropped on the floor at any given time.
Okay.
I picked up enough money off the floor one night to get some hamburger helper.
Okay.
You remember that, Mark?
Yes, I remember.
Okay.
That was a good night.
And I said, wait a minute, this would sure be good with some ground beef. I went over to the meat section. And flat packs down my pants. And I commenced to go, and just as I was about to try to head toward the door, this little black, gnarly-looking security guard guy came up at me with a can of mace. Put that meat back.
Put the meat back.
I go, what meat? That meat with that red dye rolling down your
leg.
Oh, man. So I put the meat back. But here's the beautiful thing. The guy says, you know what? You see that window right there? People in that window can see all over this store, everybody in here and everything they do. If them white folks have been up there, you'd be going to jail. But I'm not going to report you because you was trying to steal some food. But don't come in here stealing no more. I said, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And they took my ass on back to Tamarind.
So you never went there again to steal.
But that's not the time we got in trouble. We got in trouble. We just got stopped for shopping. Going home, we was on our way, everything cool. Here come the police, pulled us over for no reason. What's in the bags? We had to do the whole shakedown thing. Ain't nobody stole nothing.
Groceries.
Wow.
What's in the bag?
Yeah, we had those kinds of adventures. Every night, Elaine mentioned this on my show, talking about how every night we got pulled over on the way home if we were leaving the Comedy Store going toward Beverly Hills. Because we would get rides from white comics.
Marsha, there was a place called Ye Little Club, and that was on the west side. And Marsha and the guys, most of the black comics, they would drive through Beverly Hills from Ye Little Club, have to go through Beverly Hills to get to the Comedy Store. They were always late for their spots because they got stopped in Beverly Hills every night. Every night they got stopped by the cops in Beverly Hills.
And if a police officer saw a white person driving and black people in the car, they assumed the white person was under duress.
Now, let me tell this part of the story because it's like talking about the power of comedy. This is the power of Marsha. We're sitting there, Joey Gaynor is riding us. We coming from the Ye Little Club in Beverly Hills. And they used to say, you know, if a nigga in Beverly Hills after 11 o'clock, an alarm will go off. But anyway, we riding through there and police pulled us over. And the brother come up to the window with his hand on his pistol. And Marsha said, would you please take your hand off your gun? You know, you're making me nervous. And he was like shocked. Oh, okay.
License and registration. I said, I can't give it to you because I put my hands on the dash. I said, I can't give it to you because I'm scared to move my hands because you have your hand on your gun.
Joey was driving. The first thing they said was, sir, are you all right?
Yeah. Then they
when they saw the white man behind the wheel, they wanted to know if he was all right.
And take us to the back and ask these same questions and see if the stories match. But no, this was a young cop. And so me just saying, I'm sorry. I cannot move my hands until you take your hand off your gun. You can see my hands on the dash. I am not a threat, but you are frightening me and I'm too nervous. And finally he said, okay, and took his hand off and I gave him my ID. It was a fair deal.
He was going home with lying.
Dipping back to when you were talking about family, when I finally decided like, okay, I really wanted to do this comedy thing, I got the opportunity to manage an apartment building in Beverly Hills, and I only had to pay $200 a month. And I was like, if I can't come up with $200 a month, I don't need to be in comedy. So I quote unquote quit my good government job, and so now I am a comedian. And my son was going to school. I want to say, I think he was in 6th grade. There were only 2 Black kids in the whole 6th grade at that school. And so this was show and tell. So we sitting up there, and all the little kids were, getting up there. And yes, and my dad owns the Rolls Royce on Rodeo Drive, and blah, blah. Yes, and my family has your antique shop over on da 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 da. And my son got up and said, my mom is a comedian because she don't know how to do anything. And it was like slow motion. All the white people, I'm the only Black person in there. All the white people turned around and looked, and I went, yes, that would be me. The mother who knows how to do nothing. But yet, we're all in here together, aren't we?
Yeah. But I need to tell one more story, because see, it was me and Jimmy Cook and Brad was like family. We went everywhere.
Yeah.
And we were all in the San Francisco comedy competition.
Okay.
So we
hold on for a second. This is who we're talking about. That's Jimmy Cook. Now that's his wife.
And Jimmy Cook. And Jimmy's no longer with us, but he was my mentor and father figure. I didn't have the best relationship with my stepfather. And my father and I were cool, but I didn't ever see him. So to finally have a father figure, he was very instrumental in my life. He's the first person who told me he was proud of me. And I burst into tears. No one had ever said that to me before. I'm 25 years old. And so anyway, these are my brothers, my father, my family. We go to San Francisco. I had talked my way into a car. I didn't know how to drive.
That wasn't one of the rental cars from
No, I bought a
Okay.
1979 Chevy Nova.
Oh, that brown
They
one.
had a sale on them. And I had an ID card. I didn't have the driver's license. I didn't know how to drive. But I went in and talked to people into giving me this car with the money I had for a down payment. I think I had $500. And they gave it to me. And so I didn't know. I taught myself how to drive and was
You
going back
didn't
and
know
forth.
how to drive, Marsha. Then at that time, I never knew that.
I didn't know how to drive.
During that time, you didn't know how to drive.
No, I drove off the lot with the brake on. And I thought it just meant that the brakes was working. So I go to the gas station, because back then they didn't give you gas when you left the lot. You had to go get you some gas. So I went to the gas station, and a man looked at the car and said, why you got the brake on? I said, ain't it supposed to be on? And he reached, and then he said, well, you need to take it off. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that. He reached in and pulled the brake. So anyway, a couple of months after that, I'm driving up and down the coast. I get in the San Francisco comedy competition with Brad, Jimmy, a bunch of people. We get there, and we have to be there back and forth for like a month, going back and forth to shows and shit. And you get eliminated along the way. And I just, kept advancing. And one night, for some reason, Brad got mad. He got mad and cussed everybody out. He went on stage and cussed everybody the fuck out. Individual comics, the only.
Wait a minute. Context here.
Then after that, after he cussed everybody out, he went and passed out in a booth. We're the only Black people in town. And Brad is out.
Wait a minute. Marsha.
You know good and well I'm not lying.
Yeah,
and
so you ain't lying.
We had to watch over him to make sure that everybody got out of there all right, because he didn't wake right up. He slept it off.
You know that song, Yes, I Remember It Well. It was June. It was July. It was no. You got the location all fucked up. Now the cussing out part was in San Francisco was an admonishment. I'll get to that part. Okay, here we go. All right, now we're at the Westwood Comedy Store, Westwood, California. August Hamilton was on stage, and he said something. And by this time I'm drunk and Scooty Brown. Okay, I'm drunk as hell. But he said he was talking about Jimmy Cook's mama or something. He said some shit about some like slave related type shit. And I said, yeah, well, your mama used to work for me. And because that's why I got mad, because he was talking shit about Jimmy and he was on the stage, you know. So I went in the back room because there was still an artist, being the Southern gentleman that he is, said, well, I would appreciate it if you keep my mother out of this. So, well, you put your mama in it with that bullshit. And so I went on in there and I did go, but I did not pass out. I had to sleep it off. I was tore up, but I knew not to go to sleep. But I knew I couldn't do no good until I got my mind right. And that's why I was in there. Now, ever since then, the story became with Jimmy Cook and Marsha saying, this nigga cussed everybody out and went in there and passed out and left us in there with all these motherfuckers to kick my ass.
Out in the booth. He was sprawled out in the booth like this.
I was in the...
And we had to stay until he woke up. He couldn't leave him there and we couldn't carry him. But then Jimmy cussed everybody out up north. Somebody, because we had that same situation, Jimmy taken up for me on stage and said, I ain't going, he had decided he wasn't going to advance, that they was going to bump him off anyway. And so might as well let it rip. And so he let it rip. And once again, I'm sitting there going, I got to take care of it. And I was like, okay, I'm glad they feel safe with me. But yeah, they cussed everybody went somewhere up north.
Yeah, we was.
Go ahead, Brad.
Okay. Gerald Nachman, writer, one of the writers up in San Francisco. It reminds me of the story that Cyndi Lauper told us when she was talking about a lull in her career. She said it was because I said all the wrong things to all the right people.
Okay.
Well, I got up there and I had a killer set. So much so that it was on the news. They put it on the local San Francisco news. You know, I mean, I'm going to advance or whatever, but I got up there and I didn't get nothing. And I took umbrage to that. Now, let me just go into this saying I was wrong with two left shoes, okay? But I said, it don't make no sense to work a man 8 hours a day all week long and give somebody else his paycheck, especially somebody who said, Mom, Dad, how come I look like Dinah Shore? And I made that reference to someone that I later did have a chance to apologize to, Dana Carvey. Because James Wesley Jackson had killed, Marsha was ripping night after night. I had that good set that I was referring to, and I just couldn't take this shit no more, just sitting down. So that's what I said. But now getting back to the apology, Dana Carvey came up to me and asked me if I wanted to take his gig in Oakland, California, opening for Ray Charles. And I said,
Whoa.
Oh yeah. You should go say, well, what it wasn't paying but $75. Mm-hmm. I said, shit, I'll pay them. You know, I said, yeah, man, thanks. So we got cool after that. But yeah, that's what happened in San Francisco.
Okay.
Well, I have an up north story, and I hope I have the right comic. But this was when they were doing the Southern California comics versus the Northern California comics.
Wow.
And it was me, Robin Harris, and I think it was T.P. Hearn. Anyway, we go up there, and I was the first one up. And I used to wear my hair short, just like Marsha, just, shortcut. And I go out, I'm excited. We're comedians. We want to make people laugh. And the minute that I walked on stage, this guy jumped up and said, fuck it, you bald-headed bitch. Yes. This was the look on my face like, oh. So it just totally threw me off. I didn't have a good set. So when I was coming off, Robin was coming up next. And Robin whispered to me, he said, don't worry about it, Myra, I'm gonna get their asses. And so Robin goes up there, and Robin just rips the freaking house. Okay.
Oh,
TP goes up there. He has great set. So, we backstage, and with the comics, we all laughing and talking. Okay, let's go. Somebody, I don't know if it was the promoter or what, because they said the Southern California Comics won. He said, y'all better not go out the front door because the audience is waiting out there to whoop y'all ass. I'm like, it's jokes. What? He said, no, come out this way. So they leading us out the back, around the side. This shit was just like a movie. I kid you not. We tip out, it's quiet, it's dark, because the show been over. It's all quiet, and then you just see like one or two people come around the corner from the front of the building, and somebody says, there you go! And it was like a mob. It was the corner. And I remember, I think it was TP, he looked at me and said, bitch, you better run. When I said, it was just like a movie. He had a convertible. That I do remember, because I had never just jumped over into a backseat. I did a full dive, and that's how I did to go back up north for years. I was like, Debbie grows up in Oakland are crazy. I would go back up there because I thought they would remember me. I was like, that people wondering what I had. Over some jokes.
But that's the part that got me. You better not go out the front.
Okay.
You're out there waiting to whoop your ass.
Whoop your ass. I'm like, they're not going to call me a bald-headed bitch. What more do you want? Damn.
I had that happen on a college campus.
What happened?
It was, I didn't know about the South. Now I knew it was a black audience, but I didn't know about the South. So I'm doing my act, and these conservative Christian children are looking at me like with a mixture of horror and admiration. They're like, oh my gosh, she's gonna get us all killed. But yeah. And so I'm doing my act, I get finished, and I go back to the dress, whatever, it's a dorm room or something that they had me in. And the security is still there, and they're hanging around. And I'm like, what's up? Why are y'all still here? He said, to protect you, because you don't know the South. You made a lot of people uncomfortable. And I'm like, really? He said, yeah, so we're just going to stay here. And they stayed outside my door and out walking the perimeter, making sure that nobody bothered me. I had not expected or experienced that before.
I just thought that was the weirdest freaking thing. I'm like, but we all about smiles and laughs and giggles, and you want to fight. Okay.
Well, that's part of the deal. And speaking of part of the deal, time for our sponsor.
Okay.
Oh, yes, the Hairstyle Saver Pillow. That's right, the Hairstyle Saver Pillow. You want your hairstyle to look good when you go on a cruise every day. You can't get your hair done on a cruise, especially by somebody who's never done your type of hair. But yeah, the Hairstyle Saver Pillow. You lay your head on this velvet thing right here. Look at that. Isn't that velvety? Look at that right there.
What is that, velvet?
Yeah, that's literal velvet right there, Mark. You go, if you want one, all you got to do is go online to whatever it is on this box. For you ladies that used to get your hair cut by Luke Walker, you won't need this.
Luke Walker, right?
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, I got my hair cut by Luke Walker.
My son got his very first haircut done by Luke Walker, right there in Pasadena. Yeah.
Now, Luke Walker was a humdinger, boy. That boy, he would come out and do as much comedy as he could. As a matter of fact, he got on Merv Griffin, I think. He got
did he?
one of them TV shows, and he had on a spacesuit and all this kind of stuff. But
Is he
Luke,
still with her?
I believe
know.
so.
Really? Wow.
Because I remember when he was about 75, 76, he said, Marsha, I can still do push-ups, and dropped down and did about 40 push-ups.
Wow.
He
Wow.
Man was
kept
75 to
himself
something. Yeah.
Yeah, he kept it tight. Now he said, when black men get older, they started to get the puffy thing. So what I did, I had him open up my skin and scrape some of that fat off, because that's what makes the puffy. And he was flat like that. But anyway, in that barbershop, and you'll bear witness to this, Myra, because I know you had to have seen the booth where he was selling lottery tickets,
Oh yeah.
works, balloons, whatever. And then he opened a beauty school up in Pasadena. He was a humdinger.
Yeah.
That's what he had a crib up there that was so cold. He bought a crib that they tried not to let him buy for $30,000. He took that crib. He had a anniversary party. Me and Joan went out there, and the yard was huge. That was almost an acre, and he drove Rolls Royce, paid for. He decided he wanted to learn how to fly. He started flying himself to Vegas or wherever he wanted. But that country boy was something else. That made me really appreciate country people. Go ahead, Marsha.
Tell me about your friend who also had money up north, Carl Ray.
Oh, Carl Ray. Oh, yeah, Carl Ray. He was an engineer at Lockheed, and he decided to be a comic. Carl had he had his own house. That boy had property in Mississippi. He wrote a book.
Yeah.
And called Killing in Choctaw.
About his dad, right?
Huh? Yeah.
About his dad, yeah.
About his dad. Yeah. This white man, he and a friend was popping firecrackers, and this white man said something to him, and they didn't respond the way they thought niggas should be speaking to white men. And long story short, Pops ended up taking one for the family.
Mm-hmm.
He got up there, he didn't take one, he emptied an 8 clip from the automatic. And Carl dealt with the guilt of that in a long time, because he had graduated high school. He's just about to go to Tuskegee, where he eventually did graduate from. But yeah, Carl was a hell of a dude. He let me stay with him for a while.
Yeah. He also took kids around to do HBCU tours, because
he did.
My son was in that group, one of the groups.
I'm glad you brought that up. Glad you remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
When we went up north, to do those shows, we stopped in San Jose, wherever it was.
He was in San Jose.
To see him.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what brought him to mind.
His daughter, Ania, is my goddaughter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and you mentioned James Wesley, and those were our old OGs, for at least for me, that were not just brothers and mentors, they were family. And they took me in and taught me all kind of stuff. Tom Dreesen and James Wesley and Brad. I mean, I was taking the L home, okay, from the north side to the south side. And between Bill and Tom and Brad and a couple of others, who was that dude? It wasn't Mr. B. It was Mr. B's friend. The dude, the light-skinned dude, not Larry Burford. Anyway, they would give me rides home to make sure I was safe.
Oh yeah, she wasn't gonna go up out of there getting on no bus. That wasn't gonna happen.
I was gonna take a bus,
a
train, another train, and another bus, and then walk the rest of the way. 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, I had done it, and I had no compunction, no sense of. I wasn't scared enough. I was scared enough to make sure I did, if somebody was walking behind me, that I'd make sure they didn't get up on me. But I would do it again. I don't know if I would do it now, but I did it. You couldn't tell me not to do it back then.
Well, many was the time I would take Marsha to her house on 87 Vincennes.
Aberdeen.
Okay. And while we was there, her dog and his dog homies would be coming down the street 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
All
There'd
right.
be like 5 of them. And then they get in front of Marsha's house and they sit up there and commiserate for a few minutes. And then Snuffy would go in the house and his homies would go on down the rest of the way, walking each other home.
Now, he didn't go in the house. He never jumped the fence to get in. He jumped the fence to get out.
Well, how
And
do
he'd
you
be
get-
out with his boys. And they'd be walking in like phalanx, a triangle. And he would be in the lead. And he'd see me in the car. It didn't matter whose car it was. He saw me and he sat down. And that was their signal to go on. So he'd sit down and give them like this, and they would go on, and he would sit there until I got out the car. I could sit there for 2 hours, and he would sit there and wait until I was safely out the car and let him in. He was an amazing dog. He did that with everybody.
I see why people love dogs. So dogs is a trip, man.
You were talking about catching the bus. I was at one point Topper and Alice Carew were my managers, and they lived way up in the Mulholland Hills. For people who don't know, a lot of times you got one way in and one way out, and you going way up in the hills. So we had a meeting up there with several comics, and so Rodney Winfield. Rodney asked me for
I put water in my drink.
He was the judge.
Got no damn.
Yeah. And so we ran
You sound just like
and I said, Rodney, because I would notice, I would always see Rodney at the bus stop. Rodney would be cleaning and stuff, selling stuff or whatever, and he would be at the bus stop. So I said, Rodney, why do I always see you at the bus stop? Because that's where he just take me down to the bus stop on the Crenshaw. He said, well, and so in St. Louis, I got so many DUIs. The judge said to me, Mr. Winfield, if I catch you behind the wheel one more time, I'm going to throw you in jail and throw away the key. So that's why I'm on the bus. And I just looked at him like, okay, makes perfect sense. Okay.
One thing with Larry Burford said, the judge told him, you can't drink and drive. No, it wasn't him, it was another friend said, you can't drink and drive. He said, I got to drive.
Remember that night that you, James Wesley Jackson, and I went into the Les Tucker studio. I had got I don't know how I'm like that bit Steve Landisberg used to do. How are you just yell? But I had a key to the studio, and it's like 2:00 and 3:00, and we go in there. We're gonna record a comedy album
in a suburb that doesn't allow us at 2:00 in the morning.
Okay.
We're going into a studio that's closed because Brad got a key.
Been dark a long time.
Okay.
And we go up in there, and actually Les had told me, well, he gave me the key. He told me I could come in there. So we go over in there, we set up the tape, and they had changed the board. I don't know how, in some kind of way we got it recorded, but shit, I was tripping on acid.
You gave us all acid. I had never had acid.
Oh, did you have some too? I didn't remember.
You gave us all a tab on the paper like the dots.
It was like pain, and you couldn't even see it.
Yeah.
No, you gave.
So I heard.
I heard. Yeah, we're gonna let it go just like that. And you're a virgin. Yeah.
And I don't know what the hell we said. We said all kind of crazy stuff. I don't. Brad probably still got that tape.
Oh, I still have that piece of shit tape. That do these niggas actually think they funny? Do they really believe this?
Yes, because that's the way we rolled back then.
The way we rolled on the north side, the south side, the west side. I did not care. When I started doing comedy, I started on the west side of Chicago. And,
okay.
Oh yeah, it made no difference to me. I'm just going there and do these jokes, and I have me a bunch of Red Fox jokes, and old lady look at me like, he's so cute. You're like, yeah, he ain't cute. He ain't got no business. He don't know nothing about them damn jokes he tells me. That joke ain't had no business coming out of his mouth. Look at that. He's so special.
I got told, Myra, we were so young. We didn't know how young we were. I mean, I'm 22 22 when I started. No, I was
I thought you
20.
about 19.
I was 20 when I started, 1974. So, but I was grown in my mind. But looking back on it, I was so stupid. I was too stupid to be scared and too stupid to quit.
Which was a good thing. Which was a good thing because we were fearless. We were fearless then.
If you knew how stupid you were, you would have stopped.
But we had a comedy, and I like to mention the comedy legacy that we inherited in Chicago from Herb Kent and Orlando and Emmanuel and Carolyn and the radio shows. I mean, this was not this group comedy thing that Herb Kent started.
When he would talk about the electric crazy people who lived in his afro. Now, I'm just a little quiet, high school student. I wrote Herb Kent a letter, crazy letter, and I just had a bunch of dots on it. But I told him if he broke these dots open, and I was describing what was inside of each dot, because it was food for the people living in his afro.
Okay.
So I'm sitting in the, in the dang living room on the floor doing my homework. My mama is in the kitchen, the radio's on, and all of a sudden I hear Herb Kent say, I have this letter. Somebody sent me a thing and it's a basket, and I would like to invite the young lady down to open the basket to feed the pig. My mama came walking in. I jumped up and went, Mama, stop me to kiss it. Because I was like, my mama gonna kill me. Like, I know damn well you ain't sat here and wrote Herb Kent no letter.
Yes, I did.
Yes, I did. I did not want my mama to hear that letter. I sued my mama right back out that living room, back into the kitchen.
I was hoping you'd be opening up them dots so I can hear it.
My name is Rudolph.
Downtown Beverly. Diamonds all up on me.
Fingers where?
Cadillac driving.
Okay.
Rudolph, that really was like the prototype to Tyrone. Because I was doing Clarence on the radio with the All My Children update, and then later on with the Young and the Restless. But Rudolph was a funny guy, but Herb was telling me he had family problems and he had this and that and this and that. Everybody can't hang with this thing. But he was like a prototype. He was like, dang, like, okay, whatever. I didn't think about it no more. But when I started working with Tom saw me do the All My Children update as part of my act at the Comedy Corner in Dallas, Texas. And Tom got a lot of his game from Herb Kent because Herb Kent used to have gimmicks all the time. Remember the Wahoo Man?
Yeah, that was one of the electric crazy people.
Yeah, the
Wahoo. Wahoo. Lived in it.
But the Wahoo Man was a guy that was green. It was a real guy though.
Okay.
And this guy's skin was actually green because he had worked at a printing company. And the ink had gotten into his skin. I saw a picture of the cat. And the Wahoo Man, he's living in a tree and he's going to get you. And he would have people going to the park looking for the Wahoo Man.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And it was the green grunches or the green grunches or something like that. Yeah.
Always had a gimmick. Herb was no joke.
A bunch of them characters.
That I'm telling you.
But now before.
Oh, let me tell you this before I forget.
Okay.
The thing that saved Orlando Ray when he got shot with a rifle in the face because he was running his mouth and the bullet went right through his damn face.
And he came back from the hospital and hosted the show.
Yeah.
When we got to the club, they said we
with two holes in his face.
We said, "Where's Orlando?" They said he's in the hospital. He got shot in the face, and it was like, what you want to drink? Nobody was.
What leaked out?
I went to see him at the hospital. He laid up in the bed talking shit.
So he came to the show and hosted the show. But I was gonna say that before Bernie Mac was Emmanuel Arrington.
Yeah.
Emmanuel Arrington had his own stand-up kind of vibe that was kind of in the same. You could see Bernie might have taken inspiration from this guy.
Well, see what Emmanuel Arrington was doing it around the same time. At the same time I was just starting. He would be at the Carl Davis Palace or the Bonanza or whatever. And I was trying to figure show business out. So I started out as Brad Nelson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brad Nelson. That sounds good. Then it was, I had another name. But the guy, he said, yeah, Brad, that nigga changed his name every time he bombed. Oh yeah, my other name was Billy Randolph.
Oh,
Who the hell is Billy Randolph?
Billy Randolph with all the jokes. I don't know what the hell he was. That's Evan Lionel's line. My daddy Randolph left it, so I'm going to give credit for that. But I was Billy Randolph, and I had a red suit with red patent leather shoes, a blue shirt with polka dots on it all. I thought I was
West Side.
And I was.
That's West Side.
Yeah, I was on the West Side, but people, I was young, and people gave me a lot of love because of that. But I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Well, you was a vet when I met you, as far as I knew.
Oh yeah, I was a vet.
He was there. You was doing it, and so I was just like a kid. I was a kid. Like, tell me everything. I want to know everything, and so that was how we bonded, And like I said, we was a group. Brent, Bill.
Just right now, all of us from Chicago, the three of us right here.
Yeah, but like I said, we kind of ran together and then worked together. But I did something that I didn't know was a big deal at the time. Roy Show Lounge was opened right around the time I started, and everybody was saying you got to have your own room, you got to find your. So I walked to Roy Show Lounge from 88th and Aberdeen to 95th and Loomis.
Oh, I didn't know that, John.
I walked. Yes, you did.
Was that the original name?
They wanted to do like a supper club kind of thing with a big band. Larry Ball's band was working there.
I remember Larry Ball.
And I went in and said, you need a host and MC. I'm a comedian. Let me do it. They said, well, okay, but we can't pay you, but we need you 5 nights a week, 2 shows a night. And we can pay you $100 a week. I said, okay. He said, you want to get paid every night or weekly? I said, pay me every night.
Yeah.
So they had 6 owners.
Good move.
So every night, as if I ran into an owner, he'd say, you get paid yet? I said, no. And he'd give me $20. And then the next owner would come by and say, you get paid yet? I said, no. And he'd give me $20. And so sometimes I made $100. It was just $20. They'd be, peeling 20s off big old stack.
And that was just.
So I sometimes made $500-$600 a week.
You should have.
I got to learn, and I had my own room. I had been doing comedy maybe 3 weeks. So he said my own room where I was hosting MC. And it was, started out pretty good. Donnie Hathaway would come in the place, and that's where I met Red. What's his name? Ronaldo.
Ronaldo.
Oh, Ronaldo Ray?
Yes, that's where I met him at. And George Kirby had came in there. There was a lot of people would come in. And sometimes Donnie didn't like to talk to people. He didn't like people bothering him. So sometimes he would call me over. He'd just do this and pat the seat next to him. And I'd sit down and he just sat there. And if somebody came over, I said, he don't want to, leave the man alone. And we just sat there. And I sat with him. And so I sat with Donnie Hathaway about 4 times. I don't think we ever said more than 4 words.
That's why he liked you. He knew how to shut up. And sit there and be quiet. Do you think it's harder for a woman comedian than it is for a man?
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely challenging. And that's just the way our society is set up. If even being in the writer's room, Because many times, if you're even in the writer's room, you might be the only woman and it's 7 men, and you're trying to, pitch a joke and and the men are kind of like, but a man says a joke about a woman. Oh my God! Yes, put that shit in there. Put that shit in there. And
Hey!
Shut up.
I want to tell you this. America does not like women.
No.
Sexist, you think? Sexist, maybe?
America?
Yeah.
And black women especially?
Yeah, because
the standard is supposed to be dainty and demure and submissive and high-pitched voice. And then here I come, grabbing the mic and telling you what I think.
I like black people. I do. I got some cousins and shit. They're black. Only thing I don't like is when black people come to the show and sit right down front. Suck up all the light.
Like how to tolerate dick jokes.
Mm-hmm.
And in between dick jokes, get hit on by people who you would never, ever be in a room with otherwise.
Yeah.
Oh.
And sometimes
And you was
them are
innocent by
very
accident.
insisted, and they get drunk. Comics get together and they get drunk. And so after a certain time, it's time to leave when the fourth one comes and go, I always thought you would I love you. And I know I never had a black woman, but I know I would treat you and things, But
yeah, because
that's part of the game.
early on, I was told I was a male basher, which I just did not want to accept because one of the earliest jokes from the vaudeville days was "Take my wife, please." What is that? And so it's like I am not male bashing. I am telling jokes. Period. Why can you tell jokes about a woman and that shit is funny talking about your wife or your girlfriend or your side chick, but if I flip the script, that shit ain't funny. That's male bashing. Pick your little cashews up and put them back in your pants. It's a damn joke. Jesus.
I said before that when the 3-act comedy clubs took over, women were novelty acts.
Yeah.
It would be an opener, a host opener, a novelty act, and a headliner.
Ooh.
And the novelty act was either a juggler or a prop comic or the impressionist or a woman. And so I tried to take myself out of that very early, and through Mike Cayley at the Laugh Stop in Newport Beach, I had been going down there. They had a dirty show on Friday nights, late show, me and Rodney Winfield. And we had been doing that show for about a month, and I sat Mike down and said, because I a lot of times took over for Rodney, because Rodney
was Rodney.
Yeah.
I just picked Rodney one night and pour him into the studio to do the judge for It's Your World.
It's your world.
Order in the court and bring on the next witness, and somebody bring me a glass of water. My throat is parched. Watch it, Junior, and somebody bring me a drink. I need some more ice. Order in the court. Don't make me pull off this robe now. Bailiff, take that man into custody and see if you can find me a lemon twist.
Yeah, so I said, you see, I can do the work. I can do the time. People know me just as much as they know any of these other guys. You should let me headline. He said, okay. And that's how I became a headliner.
So you were so confident from the very first time you were on stage. And I'd never seen anybody more poised than you. And you stood up there. Now, I think you've said once or twice in private conversation that you were nervous as hell, but you showed
scared to death.
You did not show it one way, and because you had material. This is the unique thing about a young comic just starting out. You had an act.
Okay. Poopy doo.
Yeah. When I started out, I had no act.
Right.
I had talking about people's names
and great timing and timing
or some shit. And to this day, the only other person besides me who remembers that bit is Bruce Valanche.
Bruce Valanche.
Wow.
Bruce Valanche said, "I remember you, poopy doo."
Yep. Or the name thing. There was a name thing she used to do. She started with names from the Bible and then went on down to poopy this and that. But that's a skill.
Well, I didn't know that.
And now you know that now, but it looked like it came to you natural because comics just starting out don't have that.
Well, I had watched comedy all my life. And from the time I got my library.
Did I?
No, but I had got my library card when I was about 4 or 5. I had a library card. And I used to take out 3 books. I'd take out like Cat in the Hat or kid cookbooks or joke books. And so I learned the little moron jokes and the little Audrey jokes and the knock-knock jokes and the elephant jokes and the shaggy dog stories. And then, in addition, you had to know how to play the dozen.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's
you had to be sharp. And it was, to me, when I went on stage, taking those same skill sets to the stage. So it was familiar, even though it was the first time.
I'll tell you what, Barbara Louie, it took me a while. But let me ask you something. Tell me your favorite joke from back then or anytime. You just tell me your favorite joke.
I don't know if I could tell you a favorite joke off the top. I can tell you my Auntie Ruth's favorite joke that I always loved to tell her or to have her tell me because she would tell it wrong. And it was a knock-knock joke. Knock-knock.
Who's there?
Dishes.
Dishes who?
Dishes me. Who is you? She loves the joke.
That's hilarious.
And made me tell it. If she would answer the phone, this is me.
Was your Auntie Ruth the funniest person in your family besides you?
No, but she was the most fun to make laugh.
Yeah.
She was the most fun to make laugh. Her and Mama, when making my mother laugh, because Mama would laugh with her whole face, her whole chest. She and she meant she did not laugh if it wasn't funny.
No.
She and my sister would both look at me like I had just crawled out of an alien spaceship. And they were waiting for another explanation. No, but
okay. Myra,
what was the question, Mike?
Yeah, I know how that is, David.
Favorite joke?
Yo.
Probably the one that got me on the Tom Joyner Morning Show when he had the Weekend Countdown show, and he was just looking for little bits, and I wrote this joke that said, "Every woman loves a man who knows how to do that 4-letter word that ends in a K." Work. That was the joke. He played it not only on the weekend show, but throughout the week, because people in Chicago was called. I didn't even know what was going to. They were like, "Girl, Tom Joyner is playing your stuff on the radio." I said, "Yeah, on the weekend show," and they were like, "Nope, I just heard it. So that kind of got me in. The funniest person in my family probably my brother, my older brother, because he loved the albums. We had Mom's Maybelline and Leroy and Skillet and all that. Now, he wasn't supposed to be listening to him, so I definitely wasn't supposed to be listening to him. But when all the grown-ups was gone, he said, "And you better not tell." And we would lean down, by the high five, the big high five, and he put that album on, and we'd be sitting there listening and just I'm a little bitty kid, probably 4 and 5 years old, but listening to these Red Fox, Mom's Maybelline, Dick Gregory, and cracking up. And from that, I just loved comedy. I absolutely loved it.
Well, I'll tell you, I referred previously to starting off doing those Red Park jokes and the jokes I got on the album. And I'd be working at a place that was Franklin Sugar Daddy McCarthy had a club on 75th and Exchange. And I would be telling them jokes, and the waitresses would be sitting in the back doing the punchline. And I said, I do the joke, I go up to her, the hairy monkey.
Plus, I grew up on 45th and Vincennes, which was right around the corner from the Regal on 47th Street. Yeah. So every weekend, I'm at the Regal. And you know, before the stage show, they always have a comic. Mm-hmm. So I would sit there, and as a kid, probably way younger than I should have been, for some reason, I understood them jokes. Grown as they were, I'd be like, that's a dirty joke. So sitting up laughing. But I wanted to share something with you, Marsha. And I meant to mention this to you before. When I was first starting out in comedy, I had gone to a taping of a comedy show, and it was going to be on one of them kind of off channels or something. And I'm almost sure it was you on that show, because I was such an admirer, because there wasn't that many Black women back then. And I remember them asking, does anybody in the audience have a joke? And I raised my hand. I don't even remember the whole damn joke, but it was something like being in the woods and you didn't have any toilet paper. And the man said, well, take $1 and wipe your ass with it. And the punchline was, well, this was a mistake, because not only do I have shit all over my hands, but now I got 4 quarters stuck up my ass. And I remember when I told that joke to you and you laughed, and I was sitting there thinking like, she laughed at my joke. Yes. Yes. Oh, this had to be in the early 80s. Yeah. I think. Yeah.
Marsha's joke, well, Marsha's cracking me up anyway, but Marsha's joke, because it's good to know you can beat this little sucker up. That was the punchline.
You beat this little sucker up. I don't even remember that.
You don't remember that joke?
No.
I like small me. I like because it's good to know I could beat this little sucker up.
I don't remember. You know what? Since I took time off, and there's a clear demarcation from the earlier career to this career now, I look back on that time. That's a whole nother woman. Mm-hmm. That's a whole nother woman. And I look at the material, and most of the time, I always have apprehension when I'm listening to them. Like, oh goodness, what did I say? What was I doing back then? And most of the time, it turns out okay. But then sometimes it's like, oh, let me take this off the internet. Ever read this.
Whenever I have those moments, I give myself the excuse. I'm old. I don't know. I'm glad to find my way home. Just don't bother me.
Well, I had stopped doing comedy for a while, but also, and I remember Rodney Perry had asked me one day, he said, why did you stop? I said, because it wasn't fun. And that's
there it is.
The main thing, if I'm not enjoying it, the audience can't be enjoying it. Right. And so a couple of years ago, when George and Jay and all of them was like, get your ass back on stage, I just decided I want to have fun now. We're all a little long in the tooth. It ain't no sense to me getting up there being miserable. So I want to go up there and have a good time. I want everybody to have a great set. I want the audience to enjoy themselves. And at the end of the night, we can all say we had a good laugh. And for me, that's what it's all about now. It's just about having a good time.
And that's the main thing. Just having a good time. But this podcast is like no other. It is centered and presented on anything comedy. Not everything, but stand-up comedians, young, old, black, white, gay, male, female, LGBTQF, or whatever. Difference doesn't matter, because every human needs to laugh. Yeah. And that's what it's all about.
And on that note, I just want to say that was what was special to me about the Comedy Store. When I got to the Comedy Store, the diversity of comics, even though it was primarily not Black, but there were Hispanic comics, there were Black comics, there were white comics, there was Charlie Hill, there were people that you learned, you got to experience other cultures, other perspectives.
From all over the world.
All over. And so just to be there and see Charlie follow Argus and Dave Letterman and different people. And one night we were talking, there was a bunch of comics around, we just chewing the fat or whatever. And we say, well, Black people, you know, we've been down 400 years. And somebody, well, the white people, and well, these people. And Charlie Hill, well, what about my people? And Tony D'Elia said, what about my people? They used to feed Italians to the lions. I said, okay, well, I guess.
All right, you were happy. All right, never mind. Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? Yeah, don't you hate it when white people come to your house and never leave?
I went to Custer Memorial Junior High. And he said he actually went to Custer Memorial Junior High. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago that I learned about the truth about the Indian schools and the assimilation, forced assimilation and stuff. And it brought it all back into focus in a way I couldn't appreciate at the time.
But see, the beautiful thing is all of our different cultures were brought together. And we can see commonality, not like this bullshit now of us against them or them against us, and all this separate third right bullshit that's going on. Ooh.
Now, Charlie is the one who taught me about feminine power.
Oh, I thought you were going to say hygiene. I didn't know.
But he's probably correct. But he said, you don't know, you get a distorted thing. But I hadn't thought about red face as like blackface, that everything we know about Native people is filtered through a lens of ridicule. He said, we don't have squaws. He said, women run Native American, my people. And I'm like, what do you mean women? He said, women run everything. I said, oh, so women decide when y'all go to war? I'm being real smart ass, you know. And he said, yes. He said, men can't make those decisions. And I said, what do you mean? He said, women give life. So men can't decide when to take it.
Whoa.
That was 50 years ago. And that has guided me since that point, since then. That gave me so much confidence.
Well, I'm gonna let it go on that one.
Okay.
You ladies, you women have been a very wonderful, joyous part of my life. And I'll tell anybody, Myra J was my work wife. My wife don't care because she was helping the nigga eat.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, but see, I really appreciate you being friends, and I love your work. I love your work ethic, all the things. I'm just really glad that you came to be on this comedy life, because that's what it's all about. We don't just get laughed, we give laughter. And laughter is the joy in life. And joy increases faith, faith increases your courage. And with that courage, we can do great things.
All right.
Thank you, ladies. I love you.
Thank you.
Ditto.
Always punch up.